What is Kagurabachi's biggest weakness? With many larger and lesser known mangas coming to an end, Kagurabachi is looking forward for a bright future. But as every single author story out there has flaws, or things what people see as flaws, so does Kagurabachi. Of course, the existence of flaws in Kagurabachi doesn't mean that Kagurabachi is bad. In fact, claiming that Kagurabachi is bad would be simply incorrect, as Kagurabachi is hands down one of the better mangas that came out in the last decade, with a pretty interesting story and with a unique take on many already existing concepts. While the art just hits hard when it needs to. But as I already said, every story out there has some issues, and regardless how good Kagurabachi is, it is no expectation from this rule. Kagurabachi's biggest weakness is the pacing. While stories like One Piece has pacing issues because how much arcs in the later half are dragged out, Kagurabachi falls on the opposite side of the spectrum, with being extremely fast-paced story, filled to the brim with action. Nearly each chapter someone is shredded down and the story just stepped on the gas pedal with not slowing down anytime soon. Kagurabachi is a story that has a pretty fast pacing, probably the fastest pacing from many of the new mangas currently running. And when I say fast pacing, I'm not just talking about the constant action, but also about how fast the story seemingly is progressing. We are currently only 2 arcs into the story, with the 3rd arc only starting recently, like 3 chapters ago I think. But Chihiro already got 2 of the swords back and is currently facing the main antagonist group who killed his father. Meaning the manga just started, but we are already balls deep in a plot without there being anything at the start to get you ready. While most mangas out there start off with 1 or 2 arcs that only have minor connections or nothing to the main plot, slowly building up just to get you ready before the main plot reveal happens where things speed up, Kagurabachi from the start drove us all into the deep, with the very first arc already being heavily relevant to the main plot, and not slowing down in the 2nd nor the 3rd arc either. On one hand, this makes Kagurabachi quite unique, as it doesn't waste any time and gets us right to the point. But on the other hand, this can come through as quite rushed. As one of the things that makes people enjoy stories is how it builds up from a calm to a storm. Kagurabachi doesn't really has this. Kagurabachi is a storm from the beginning. This gives Kagurabachi the feeling like if it would be rushed, even if this fast plot progression is clearly intended. It gives little to no room for people to process what happened in the previous arcs, before it throws us right into the next one, what's gonna be just as much plot heavy, if not more, than the previous one. And over the time, this can kinda make people tired. This fast pacing also heavily impacts characters and how much people can relate to them. Kagurabachi has the tendency to introduce a lot of interesting looking characters just to kill them off in few pages. If they're lucky, they got to live few chapters. This clearly makes Kagurabachi one of those stories where the life of a character is not worth much, and that is generally perfectly fine. However, when Kagurabachi tries to make the death of a character more important, the fast pacing of the story kinda takes away from it, as the audience didn't have enough time to relate to the character before their passing. One example for this would be Tenry's death. Even though the way he went out and the reason he went out was right and well, his death didn't have as much of an impact as it should have, simply because we didn't have enough time to relate to him because of the pacing, making his passing feel nearly empty compared to his father's, who we got more than enough time to relate to. This kinda makes Tenry's death feel empty, despite narrative-wise being more than important. Kagurabachi's biggest weakness is hands down its fast pacing. From the fast story and plot progression to the constant back-to-back action, giving it the feeling like if it would be rushed, all the way to how the fast pacing impacts how we relate to characters. Kagurabachi's biggest weakness is definitely its pacing. But of course, as I said at the start of the video, this doesn't make Kagurabachi bad. Kagurabachi is still a peak manga, regardless of its problems. In fact, Kagurabachi is hands down one of the best mangas that came out in the last decade. And I can't wait to see more from it because I am totally addicted. But what do you guys think? What do you think Kagurabachi's biggest weakness is, in your opinion? Please let me know in the comment section below. This was Space G, and see you guys in space. Bye!